I'm Chase Sr. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. And coming up on the show, I found more issues with this Eagles offense going into Week 14 against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. And these issues need to get fixed and fixed fast. I do want to throw it back to Black Friday, though. What an embarrassing effort from the Philadelphia Eagles. The offense was anemic. The Eagles defense gave up nearly 300 rushing yards. And on the broadcast, you heard the boos from Eagles fans, which I think were warranted. And obviously, we saw all of the images and the videos of Eagles fans raining boos down on the birds on Black Friday. Now, this guy right here is kind of a legend. He's got the ponytail coming out of the hat. He's got the chops. And if you were to put together a guide for the perfect boo and the perfect form, right? The thumbs down, and then with a lot of effort and a lot of body energy, he's able to boo the birds there. And then this guy right here, you could hear him and do some lip reading where he was saying, "Fire Kevin Patullo." And in my opinion, this Eagles team deserves all of the boos. And Eagles fans should be fed up with this ball club, how they've played and how they've looked, especially on the offensive side of the football. It's never good that these offensive issues have persisted since week one, and we've been talking about the same things over and over and over again. And I kind of got pissed off on Friday, on Saturday, when I was seeing a bunch of people who aren't Eagles fans ripping Eagles fans and the city of Philadelphia for booing the Eagles. They were saying, the Eagles are 8-4. They're leading the NFC East. Your team just won a Super Bowl back in February. And really? You're booing right now? This happens for multiple cities and fan bases all across sports. Shoot, earlier this year, Arizona Cardinals fans, when the Cardinals were going into the locker room at halftime after a bad first half of offensive football, were getting booed. That's in Arizona. Those fans barely even care about their football team. I rarely ever see Cardinals fans walking around when I go to NFL events like the draft, the Super Bowl, and the NFL Combine. And so these boos are deserved and warranted because we have high expectations in the city of Philadelphia. We want this team to be great. We want the Birds to go on a dynastic run. And you know what? It's December 2nd of 2025. Last year was last year. And yes, the Eagles went on that unbelievable run. They had a storybook season. They denied the Chiefs their quest for a three-peat and took down Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And while that accomplishment was great, and the Super Bowl parade with 2 million people in Philly was epic on that February morning and day, again, that was last year. We're talking about this year here, and the expectations are always sky high in the city of Philadelphia. And think about it in this manner, right? Professional sports teams are businesses. Do high-level businesses live in the past? Sports teams shouldn't either. That's how empires fall. You think when Steve Jobs and Apple created the first smartphone, they were like, you know what? Let's wipe our hands and say, we're good, we're content. No, they continued to adapt. They continued to evolve because other companies were competing with them and they were trying to take their top spot. So what did Apple do? They kept coming up with fantastic products, and now they own the cell phone game. And since week one, all season long, this Eagles offense, which is the highest priced offense in the NFL, has absolutely stunk. And you know what also rubs me the wrong way? When Jordan Mailata last night on WIP, who's also played poorly all year, says that a lot of the issues with this offense come down to want to and focus. Are you kidding me? The NFC and the NFL as a whole is wide open going into the final 5 weeks of the year. When the Eagles are playing their best football, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that can beat them. But if they keep playing like this, they'll get bounced in the wild card round of the playoffs. And so, what did I do? I got into the creative think tank over the last couple of days, and I was thinking about how I grew up and how Eagles fans act and how people always make fun of us. And obviously the hit show, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, iconic, part of the fabric of this city. So I put together shirts that read, I'm always unhappy in Philadelphia. With our channel logo below it, we can have some fun. We can laugh about it. And you know what? Us being unhappy, us being on edge is part of who we are as Philadelphians. It's how we roll as a city. We wear it on our sleeve, our emotions, and we wear this like a badge of honor. So get your shirts now. Links for these are available as the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. And if you want a shout out on the show tomorrow when we go live, take a screenshot of your purchase, a proof of purchase, email it to me, chase@chatsports.com, and I'll give you a shout out tomorrow. Just a way for you to further support the program here. All right, in case you missed the news yesterday, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni saying that Kevin Patullo will remain as the Eagles offensive play caller. And my take right away was, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, there are so many reasons why this offense has struggled all year, but at the top or near the top of the list is the offensive play caller in Kevin Patullo. And I just think that this lifeless offense needs some life, and I think that a change in coordinator would give this team some juice and belief. Look at these offensive rankings this season. The Eagles are 24th in total yards, 24th in yards per game, 18th in total touchdowns, 27th in first downs, number 1 in 3 and outs, passing yards 25th, yards per attempt 10th, completion rate 16th. Hurts is keeping the ball out of harm's way. He's thrown 2 picks this year. That's the fewest in the NFL. But this running attack, which last year was dominant, has been anything but that this season. 22nd in rushing yards, 24th in yards per carry. Their third down percentage, a lot of third and longs this year. Big reason why this offense is falling apart, 28th. Their fourth down rate is 13th. Even the tush push hasn't been effective this year. The red zone touchdown percentage, number 1 in the NFL. That's good. And then their field goal percentage, 29th. And so when you think of this offense right now, and I allude to all the issues with it, we could spend a whole hour talking about this. And I'm going to try to summarize it on the show. And I have some newfound developments for what is going wrong and issues that I have with this offense right now. But real quick, Jalen Hurts is playing poorly right now. Since the bye week, he hasn't been good. And I know there are a lot of Hurts truthers out there. You have to admit that outside of the start of that Cowboys game, he's been off. Missing throws, not processing well, not seeing the field. The offensive line all season long has been a major disappointment. Because of that, the Eagles can't run the ball. Execution and penalties have been the Achilles heel for this offense all year long, and the scheme and the play calling stinks. And you know what's insane? Think of this Eagles team with all of the talent on it, right? And then you think of the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets, 2 teams that'll have top 5 picks this year. Well, the Eagles are 28th in success rate. They are producing a positive play at a lower rate than the Saints and the Jets. It is always important to remember, this is, at the end of the day, Nick Sirianni's offense. And he is to blame for this scheme. If you think it's vanilla, predictable, and boring, which I think all of those are apt, he's to blame. And remember when he said this a few years ago? No matter if Kevin Patullo's calling the offense, Shane Steichen's calling it, Brian Johnson's calling it, Jeff Stoutland, Jason Michael, Jonathan Gannon, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, Dom DeSandro, Julian Lurie. This is my offense. I'm very particular, and I know what I believe in the passing and the running game in offensive football. Well, Nick, you have to change your philosophies, and you have to be willing to adapt and evolve, especially with all these creative offensive minds that we're seeing pop up all around the NFL, whether it be head coaches, offensive coordinators, play callers, pass game coordinators, whatever. So this offense has never really been what I would call creative, exotic, or aggressive. Ben Johnson's offenses look like a different sport, a different era. The route concepts, limited, predictable, and vanilla. And I think this Eagles offense relies too heavily on players winning their matchups, and it rarely schemes players open. So all of those can be pinpointed as Sirianni issues. But I will say this about Kevin Patullo, and it's been noticeable all season long. He lacks play calling feel, he lacks play calling rhythm, play calling sequencing, and play calling consistency. You watch Ben Johnson call an offense, You watch Vic Fangio call a defense. It's different than what we see from Kevin Patullo. Now, has the offensive line regressed? Yes. Is Jalen Hurts struggling? Yes. Is the run game down? For sure. Are the players committing penalties that are hurting and impacting what Patullo calls? For sure. But we have seen great play callers, coordinators, and coaches elevate players. Patullo's not doing that. Sirianni's not doing that. And I think this Eagles offense needs a new play caller to give this offense a little bit of juice, light a fire, because right now, I don't think that they believe. And so here are 5 things that I think the Eagles can do to fix the offense under Kevin Patullo. More design quarterback runs, run tempo more, run more RPOs and plays from under center, play Tank Bigsby more because he can get some of those hard-earned yards, and no more Grant Calcaterra. The Eagles like to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, but Calcaterra can't block, and that's his job when the Eagles are in those personnel packages. Now, coming up next, that was the buildup, and it all leads me to what we're about to talk about. An alarming trend and alarming trends that the Eagles offense needs to fix. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned, get informed. It's coming up here in just a moment. But let's get to our sponsor, our friends at Brunt, making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible. I love talking football, but outside of work, I have a lot of hobbies. I love working out. I also love woodworking and hard jobs. And anytime that I can do some power washing or some woodworking, I'm going to say yes, just to make some more money. But honestly, I like the process of it. And when I'm doing those hard jobs, I'm always wearing my Brunt work boots. And you can get $10 off your order right now if you use the code CHAT at bruntworkwear.com/chat. I also really like what this company stands for. Now, choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS. So they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. There are so many great elements of what Brunt stands for as a company. They make products for people who have long, hard days, but they don't want to make those days longer and harder. And they make products for blue-collar people like you and I. And these are no doubt the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn, and they felt comfortable right out of the box. No long, painful break-in like all those other brands. And they're not just comfortable. They're built to perform and last. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for somebody else or yourself, get them something from Brunt. Get yourself something from Brunt. With the temperatures dropping, holidays coming up, listen up. It's time to treat yourself or the hardworking man in your life to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get him something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order when you use the code CHAT at checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com/chat. Use that code CHAT. Order today and let them know that you heard about it right here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now, okay, to the back half of the show here. Nick Sirianni did say yesterday, when he also mentioned that Patullo would remain the play caller, that the Eagles during that mini bye week talked about changing some things with the offense and making some necessary adjustments. Well, here are some alarming trends with this Eagles offense, and it needs to get fixed, especially with where we are in the modern era of offensive football. And I just hate what I'm seeing here. The Eagles have the highest hitch route rate in the NFL. And you look at the passer ratings when targeting specific routes. There are pluses and advantages of running hitch routes and completing hitch routes. You see the passer rating league-wide, 85.4. But the NFL average is a 94 passer rating on all routes. And so you look at the route tree and you see what a hitch route is. You run up and then you come back. Also kind of known as a curl. So I don't hate that the Eagles run these, but the issue is the Eagles run so many to a point where it becomes predictable and you take away from the vast skill set and the potential dominance of players like A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. And when you're running so many hitches and you have telltale signs of what you're running pre-snap, the defenses are able to sit back and they're like, yeah, A.J. Brown's running a hitch here. Number two, the Eagles have the lowest crossing route rate in the NFL. This one, I think, is more inexcusable than having the highest hitch route rate in the NFL. Look at the passer rating when quarterbacks target receivers on crossers. 95.2. It's right up there with a screen, easy completion, and a quick out, easy completion. And why I think this is a problem, crossing routes lead to, of course, easy completions, but they help you beat man or zone, and it gets your wide receivers in space to make an easy catch, but to also create after the catch and pick up yards after the catch. And it also takes away from targeting the middle area of the field. A constant problem for this Eagles offense over the last couple of years that has surfaced and bubbled to the surface on numerous occasions. The Eagles are also bottom 5 in pre-snap motion rate. Back in 2023, when this Eagles offense was at its lowest, they were one of the lowest teams as far as pre-snap motion. Kellen Moore comes in last year, and the number went up. I think the Eagles were somewhere between 20 and 25. It was better from, I think, being last in 2023, but this year, they're back to being bottom 5. And you look at the teams who run the highest pre-snap motion in the NFL, the Dolphins, 79.9%. The 49ers, 79.3%. The Rams hovering around 70%. The Ravens at 68%. The Chiefs at 65%. Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan disciple. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, a Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson. And I know that the Dolphins this year are bad, but when you think about what Mike McDaniel does from an offensive standpoint, learning under Kyle Shanahan, there's a reason why we see these offenses adopted from Shanahan all across the league, because they work, they have modern concepts that are very creative, but don't let the pre-snap motion fool you into thinking these teams are running finesse offenses. Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball. The Rams want to run the ball. Ben Johnson is kind of like, I'm stealing this from John Middlecoff, the Midwest Kyle Shanahan. He wants to run the ball first, but then you have all that window dressing, which taxes the defense, gives the defense so much to think about, redirects the eyes of the defense, and makes you harder to defend. This is something so easy that the Eagles are not doing. And the lowest pre-snap motion rates in the NFL. The Giants around 20%, the Eagles at 18%, the Broncos 15%, the Panthers 15%, and Josh McDaniels never been a big pre-snap motion guy at 12%. This number has to go up. Number 4, the Eagles are bottom 2 in play action fakes. This is one that is also head scratching because it just makes your quarterback's job so much easier. And if you're able to establish the run, you can get some explosive plays through play action, and it helps out your run game. And then A.J. Brown is in the slot at the lowest percentage among all wide receivers in the NFL. He's never in the slot. Why? How do you not have A.J. Brown in the slot where he can be matched up against slot corners sometimes, safeties, and linebackers? You think that A.J. Brown would be able to win those matchups and exploit those matchups? Of course. But the Eagles have him on the outside running all these hitch routes, and that probably is a huge reason why he's frustrated, because he's looking at what all these other wide receivers are doing. From CeeDee Lamb to Justin Jefferson to Jamar Chase to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I've seen him line up in the backfield and run wheel routes. And A.J. Brown is running the same routes over, and his usage is pretty much the same. He said it himself a couple of weeks ago that he doesn't watch other wide receivers because it frustrates him because of what the coordinators and the scheme is doing to elevate those players and put them in a position to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not good. And Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, the Eagles as an organization, they are very forward-thinking. But Nick Sirianni is an offensive mind, and Kevin Patullo is making this worse. They kind of have their philosophies, which if they don't change them, if they don't make adjustments, if they don't adapt and evolve, Not sure that this coaching staff is going to be here for a long time because the Eagles are always looking for an edge, especially on offense. Andy Reid, offensive coach. Chip Kelly, offensive coach. Doug Peterson, offensive coach. Nick Sirianni, offensive coach. And if the coaching staff isn't giving this team an edge on offense, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman will not be happy. And right now, this coaching staff isn't giving this team an edge. They're not doing anything creatively, and it's an issue. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. Picking up a lot of followers here on TikTok. TikTok just launched that page. So give me a holler, say what's up, and I'll see you soon here on Eagles Now.